Very
And
good, sir.
today, in the house today, is Mr. Danny Herrera, District 2 candidate for the Yakima City Council. Good morning, Danny.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Danny. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. How
definitely.
goes the campaign trail?
Yeah.
It's going. Like we said, the ballots are out. Hold up. You want to be educated on the positions, candidates, the whatever's on the ballot. But the ball's starting to roll, and hopefully we have momentum going into November.
Danny, tell us who you are, kind of in a nutshell. We're kind of, just for people that maybe missed our first interview. Who is Danny Herrera? Family? What do you do in the Valley? Stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you. So I was born and raised in Yakima. Lived my whole life in Southeast Yakima. My mom came to the United States in the 1980s with my older sibling. I went to the public school system in Yakima, Adams Elementary, Washington Middle School, Davis High School. And after Davis, I went straight to the University of Washington, where I earned my bachelor's and master's degree back to back. And then I always knew I was going to come back to Yakima to serve and give back to my community. I substituted for a year, didn't go straight into teaching, but I did have the opportunity to teach third grade at McKinley Elementary for 4 years. And then I had the opportunity to actually work with a nonprofit that actually helped with my college planning while I was at high school, and it's called the College Success Foundation, and I work as an advisor advising students and their family with any college planning, financial aid, scholarship search. So it's kind of like a full circle. And
Yeah, that's great.
You're back to working to help the people who helped launch you, right?
Yeah, pretty much, and it's good feeling. And people always ask me, like, do you miss teaching or what's the difference? You can't really compare those two, but I do enjoy what I like. And yeah, like I said, giving back to the organization and working with the people. And actually, my advisor that was at Davis while I was there is still there. So now she's my colleague. So
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah, that's a neat situation to be in, unless you hated your advisor. That's not so good.
Really.
But, all right. So, in essence, you are a resource for students, right? Your experience plus your personal experience plus your educational background all says I'm here to help, right?
Yeah, and then the thing I kind of a pro for moving from teaching to the current position is I wanted to be more involved in the community. I tried to do that the last 2 years. I was a teacher, but you get tired. Teacher tired is different from a different kind of tired. And obviously, if you taught before, you know the feeling. But I wanted to get more involved with my community, volunteer, and I did name some volunteer organizations that I volunteer with like the YMCA, like Asagor, Henry Bucham Center, which were also influential in my childhood. So, it gives me a little more freedom this position to collaborate with them and have them as a resource to them as well.
Interesting to hear you say teacher tired. My wife's a teacher,
Yeah.
and I think I know just what you're talking about. Teacher tired is a different kind of tired. It really is. Well, let's talk about good old District 2. What do you see as the best part of District 2? What are the challenges facing District 2?
Yeah, so I'll start with the negative and end with the positive, I guess. So I think it's just District 2, just representation, in the history of the voting system from citywide to district-wide. I was trying to look up the candidates even when we were at citywide voting. I was like, I don't think I really know these people, or try to research them. And then when we went to even citywide voting, we had two candidates, and I don't think they were elected, but I don't think they were the best representative of District 2 or residents of District 2. Someone that grew up there, someone that knows the people, that know the family, that have families, that have peers there that when I went to school with, and their families still live there actually.
So I'm going to kind of interrupt along the way, but just to clarify, if that's all right, Danny. So if they didn't get the best candidates, why do we think that is? I mean, the people elected them.
Mm-hmm.
Did the best people just not run for some reason? And is that what you think? And then why would that be?
Mm-hmm. And I think I mentioned it before. Just the trust with public officials in government, District 2. You see the numbers. One of my goals is to increase those numbers of people that turn in the ballots and just inform voters as well, too. So. And that's compared to other districts where they have thousands. And
but that was the whole point of the redistricting was to accomplish that. And so far, it has not happened.
Yeah, and it's only been 7 years, and it's gonna take a while. What I believe, and I think my effort is to engage those voters as well too, so increase those numbers. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna happen a couple of years, and I think the youth voters too is something I can influence as well. Just being in the education system.
District 2 population 13,358. District 2.
Yeah, well, and they're all within so many thousand by law. The district size makeup is supposed to be comparable, so whatever that is. And now with the new census coming out, they may or may not move census lines a little bit. Some of the big things in the news that we see impacting the news today is the state's mask or a vaccine mandate. Where are you at on masks and vaccines and that sort of thing?
Yeah, as someone that's gonna potentially be a city council member, I have my own personal beliefs, but the city doesn't have that much influence on that. It's usually the county and the state mandates, so we follow those as well. And I've mentioned, I think, several times in the Yakima Herald and the KMA News that we see the numbers and see the need for them. So that's where as
So your personal opinion.
Yeah.
Because knowing your personal opinion, whether you do that as a city council person or not, one of my concerns is that we've seen a lot of people's personal opinions play out at city council rather than maybe what the rest of the constituency is. And so to get a little bit to know more about you, just saying we'll follow the state mandates, that's to be expected, but where's Danny at? Where's Danny come from? That's because that will play out. I mean, I don't know when I was on council if I would have ever voted for the green efficiency city prospect. That wouldn't necessarily have come up because one person's opinion about what the job of the city is this, but knowing your personal opinions on things like that would indicate how you might play out on council. So I think you get that. So
yeah, totally understandable. So I do follow the. I've been following the Yakima Health District and the State Health District and seeing the numbers. And follow the phases. And
what
stuff.
would you have liked the city? Let's say, for instance, like King County. Would you have liked the city to maybe impose a vaccine mandate on the fire department, the Yakima Police Department? Would you have liked to have seen that, or do you support something like that?
I know it's important to get vaccines just to get through this pandemic. So I think that's where I would stand from.
You would if that was an option for you, yeah. Okay.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. We are going to see the city council take up an issue, the Clean City program. They're going to talk about raising what is it? Some tax. I'd have to go back to the first page there, but raising a tax from 15% to 20% for cleanup of the city. Is this the time, in your opinion, to be playing with taxes for like graffiti removal? If they're talking, it is Clean City Fund, an increase in the stormwater tax from 15 to 20%. There's going to be a public hearing on that. Is this the time coming out of COVID for any kind of tax bumps, do you think?
I don't think so. And I was trying to get myself familiar with the propositions as well, and I saw that was the local sales and use tax for criminal justice purpose, and I think that's different from that. And people have voted in favor of that.
Right,
so,
right.
but I think
that 3/10 of 1%.
Yeah,
right.
But I think the tax you're talking about is I don't think it's the time for any taxes on people, especially as local businesses and people are trying to get back on their feet, and even like the eviction memorandum is probably going to get lifted. It's going to get lifted soon. So
yeah, and that's a very good point, because the city has been talking about a number of housing initiatives over the last few years.
There you go.
From
Exactly.
from tiny homes to should they be involved in bigger initiatives. What's the city government's role, do you think, in Lance, you had a story earlier about new home construction in Yakima is up 101% over the last year, something like that. Is the housing the job of the city, or is it of the marketplace?
I think the city can help in a way, and I think I was looking at the Yakima housing plan, and they laid out some things they can do. And one of the bullet points was just like having affordable housing, and I think I mentioned last time some education for families from low income housing. Residents in my district, they're not homeowners; they're renting, even though they live there for years, and like I said, my peers live there, but their parents still live there, and they're still paying off their mortgage, or they don't know, and they take off a second mortgage, so they're not educated. So I definitely would have some type of idea, some type of plan, some type of education program that would help those families, build that foundation and start building wealth.
But do you think it's the city's responsibility to raise taxes to pay for that housing?
Because that was what the proposal was, right?
Eventually, yes. I think if we're just gonna throw taxes all in a bunch, I think if we're gonna tax for the housing, I think it should be in the plans in the future, and that's definitely, I think, something I would bring up as well.
Homelessness. What's the responsibility of the city for homelessness? How do we tackle this $64,000 question? And good luck.
Yeah.
Do you have an answer? I mean, really, what's the role of the city? Do you believe?
Yeah, if we're gonna be taxing people and we're not gonna be building adequate housing, then we don't need to be taxing people. But yeah, it's like you said, who has the answers, and what can we come up with? And I just been relaying the answer. There's programs out there that are helping people without houses. Camp Hope, the Rod's House that is more targeted to your youth, and District 2 is one of those major areas that people without houses roam. I did see where the city did fence up Natchez Ave, so
What did you think of that?
They're gonna just move somewhere else. So
Yeah.
we're not addressing the problem.
No.
Did you think the fencing thing was a offensive move or a defensive move?
I think it's just remembering that these are humans, and it wasn't their fault. It's people have issues growing up. Maybe they, even from child, they have instability housing, so maybe they're from that situation. Drug abuse. Yeah. So.
All right. So if someone, but here's my question. I think the real issue too is if someone has issues from childhood, that's therapy, that's counseling, that's all of that. If people are into substance abuse, I mean, there's a couple of schools of thought on that. Is that their fault, or is that their reaction to other things? Well, that gets back to some of us. That's personal responsibility, and so if you provided housing for a bunch of folks who don't have housing now, do you think that just having a house changes them, or is it just another place to be?
I think the pandemic was a good reminder of just basic human needs: food, water, housing is a basic human need, and I think that's the start of it. Because when you think just they have basic needs, they can start worrying about other things. And I relate it back to students and how they came back from remote learning to hybrid learning, not to in person. If they don't have that stability, how are they going to be able to learn in school? Teachers throw projects, assignments, all these, and like you mentioned, the health counselors, even before the pandemic, there was a need. The need wasn't there the numbers of counselors weren't there because students were in search for them. And now, especially now, students want to reach out and need the professional health. They're still in that need. So I think there was an increase. So there was an increase of need of social emotional counselors and all that stuff.
Well, that makes sense. But we've had people in the past on council try to tie the city to the schools in some fashions, internship programs, things like that. Again, that gets back to, is that the city's job? I mean, the education entity is separate from city. It's its own beast, so to speak. But do you think there should be more of a connection?
Oh, yeah. I was making a comparison, just comparing what students need with counselors, but obviously people without houses need as well. And I think if we're aiming at like the young adults, like I said, that Rod's House, from 18 to 24-year-olds, those 24-year-olds might be out of the school district and they don't have that resource that they can use that they were there while they were at school. So that could be something that we focus on. What's
the best thing about Yakima?
I think just the the growth that's been happening in the last couple of years. I know when I went off to University of Washington, there was not that many things to do, honestly,
Yeah.
and a lot of my peers were like, I'm gonna stay on the West Side. I'm gonna stay here, But I think just hearing all the good things that happen and all the business growth, it's what you make it. Your family's here, and there's just a lot of potential here.
Danny, I know that one of the things that you'd like to change is gang crime. You'd like to really tackle gang crime. Do you believe that the YPD is doing a good job? Do you believe that the chief of police have a plan right now to attack gang crime? We see gang shootings about every week. Give us your thoughts on gang crime.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to thank every man and woman in blue serving, and thank you for providing this. And patrolling seats. I did see that there was a book club going on with Chief Murray and some of the police officers, and then I think he was planning some forums as well. And I know I attended some forums last time. There was one at the Henry Beechup Center. But to focus on gangs, I know if we're gonna go to the root cause of gang crimes, it's like we have to do some youth prevention, because that's where I think the youth fall into the wrong path, and I'm very familiar because my peers, even family members, have gone the wrong path, and I wonder why. I was like, okay, obviously there's something missing at home, and they go searching for it. And something small as a recreational activity after school, because most of our parents are working late hours, and there's no adult figure at home. There's no role models that we can look up in the community, and I obviously want to be one of those role models, and that give back to the community as well. So recreational activities, not just after school, but during the summer.
Work with the YMCA. You say work with the YMCA, YWCA, YMCA, whatever. Get people involved, get those young people involved in those programs, right?
Yeah, even with the Yakima Parks and Recs, I grew up going to Kiwanis. They had summer programs, recreational programs. They'd take us to Washington Pool, which is not there. They take us to Franklin Pool, just get us involved in other things.
All right, we know your time is limited here, so we're just I'm going to whip through some other questions here. You've been described as a progressive Democrat in some of the stuff. Look, I mean, it's you, and kudos to you that you came onto our conservative program. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
But so what is a progressive Democrat? How do you define that?
I probably don't have the best definition, but obviously city council positions are nonpartisan, so I just think.
But we all know that. I mean, come on. I mean, you're going to bring your politics to the horseshoes. So when we ask, what is a progressive Democrat? What do you believe? I mean, I guess how do you define yourself as a progressive Democrat? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. I would just say, if you look at the voting record of just the area precincts in District 2, they usually are more progressive voters, Democrat voters. So I'll just keep it at that. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I don't know the best.
Sure. Like let's.
All right, but look at District 2.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It does need progress, right? District 2 could use some help. And I think District 2's issues is that maybe, it's my politics. I guess I need to shut up and we'll hear about your politics, Danny. But what do you want the voters to take away as you head out the door to get on with your day? And we are now about 3 weeks or less away from the election.
Yeah.
What do you want the voters to know about Danny as you head out the door this morning?
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. And obviously, like you mentioned, I welcome questions, and that keeps me on my toes and just helps you keep me more informed and reach out voters no matter what side they vote on. But please remember to turn in your ballots by November 2nd, and you actually have time to register as a voter by October 25th online, and then actually you can register to vote in person the date of the ballots are due. But please vote, make your voice heard, and I'll leave that at that. Thank you for your time.